financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's show, I'm going to do my estate plan. If not now, when? Quoting Bobby Kennedy.
Right.
Here's the whole thing. Well, for introductions first. Brian, my co-host, hello, how are you?
Always a pleasure, Ken. I'm doing fine today.
Pat Samasco, glad to see you back. Elder law expert. Cliff Russell, back with us again. Host of 910 AM, the Cliff Russell Show.
Yes.
Weekdays, 2 to 4 p.m.,
That's
910 the Superstation. Cliff and Brian and I do Law and Reality now, Thursdays, 3 to 4 p.m. every Thursday.
Always look forward to it. Good to be here.
Good time. Good to have you. All right, so we're going to talk about this estate planning issue, and here's the big issue. People procrastinate about doing an estate plan. I know that because it took me a long time. I was doing estate plans for probably 15 years before I bit the bullet and did it in an estate plan. I did a limited estate plan to cover the contingency. What happens if my wife and I go down in the airplane? Who's going to take care of my kids? But I had it right there and available to me anytime, and I even procrastinated because I was young and dumb, is what it comes down to.
It's not unusual. Mine was completed. It sat on my desk for 4 months next to me. Printed out. All I needed to do was sign it, and it sat there.
And you're one of the most anal people I know that I wouldn't think that would happen. I would have thought that you had it done right away. That's is that a shocker?
Right.
I'm going to agree with you.
That's a shocker to me.
I'm going to tell you, though, the timing that you all have is fine because you did it before you died.
Correct.
Well, that helps.
That's the key.
That's the key.
You got to do it before you get sick and before you die.
Is that why people don't do it, though? This
They never want. They don't want to think about it.
Well, you're talking about your own
It happens with a
mortality.
lot of people.
Right.
You're scared. Oh my God! If I do my will and trust, something bad's going to happen to me.
For younger families that have kids, their biggest reason is they can't pick guardians for their kids. They don't want to pick his sister or her brother, and they just can't
But
deal
you
with
need
that.
to make
Oh,
those
God.
decisions. Well, here's some interesting facts. LegalZoom.com. 55% of American adults do not have a will or other estate plan in place, according to LexisNexis, which is a research firm that governs law. Probate time frame. In Wisconsin, according to their state bar, it takes over 2 years to probate a complicated will, and even a simple one can take 6 months if you have to go through the probate process. Yahoo Finance, RocketLawyer.com, 50% of Americans do not have a will. Even more alarming, 41% of the baby boomers, 55 to 64, do not have a will. Top 3 reasons: procrastination, belief they don't need one, and cost. And I think the fourth one that you added, Cliff, is they don't want to face the reality of at one point they're going to die. We have a couple very visible, successful clients that are artists, and they refuse to address the issue, and it's a constant actual source of friction sometimes between me as the attorney and them by saying, you have to do this. You don't want to be in a situation where all of a sudden you pass away, you have a sizable estate, it's public scrutiny, you don't even have a will. That means your money's going to flow according to the laws of intestate succession.
Let me jump in because this really motivates the people, and it's usually the second marriages that motivate it. Because if you don't do a will, the law gives you one. Right. So second marriage, dad has 3 kids, mom has 3 kids. They want everything to go to 6 kids. They both die, all goes to the 6 kids. But if dad dies first, everything goes to his wife. She dies 1 second later, it goes to her side of the family.
Wow.
Because it goes to her family.
Right.
He doesn't want that. She dies first, everything goes to him. He dies 1 second later because he just can't live another day without her. It goes to his side of the family. and that side's cut out. And you should see the people knocking down the door to get in to fix that.
Right.
Because they don't want that.
So do you?
Yeah, all of a sudden when someone's ill, but that's if you're
yeah.
lucky. And it's not lucky to have someone have the illness, but if all of a sudden they're gone, you can't fix it.
So should I plan my estate by myself behind a closed door, or should I bring in the wife and the family and we all collaborate on this thing?
That's a good question. It depends on the
Second
situation. You
Yeah.
need to
First-
do some plan. You need to have a vision on your own as to how you want your children from the first marriage treated
Right.
vis-a-vis your spouse's children from her first marriage, and then you need to discuss it. There has to be a discussion and a synergy and everything else, but
Right.
you need to reach a decision in your mind
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
to how you want yours treated.
And that's a
first.
great question, because whatever you want to have done, there's plans that we can implement for that. If you want this to happen, we can make a plan. But if you just put your head in the sand and all of a sudden don't think about it and someone dies, then you're...
And did you say that people in second marriages tend to think about this more than people in first
They
marriages?
usually think about it less because they don't want to. They think, oh, I trust my wife. If I die, it goes to her.
Okay.
She's going to leave everything to my kids.
I think
And
they think about it more because that first marriage almost killed me.
sometimes,
So-
sometimes.
But the important thing is
All
you need. So and now I want to give you other reasons why you need an estate plan that people don't think about. If you have minor children, and something happens to mom and dad together, the plane goes down on a vacation, the ship sinks, or God forbid all these things happen, but we do know that they do happen on occasion. Guardianship provision for your children goes in your will. If you don't have a guardianship provision, the person who's going to take care of your kids as they grow up while they're minor children is going to be decided by a probate court judge. It may be who you want, but that depends on who's petitioning the judge and what the judge decides. If all of a sudden Aunt Shirley and Uncle Ralph on the other side of the families are fighting over it,
Right.
they're not going to decide. The judge is going to decide, and I don't think a judge should decide who takes care of your children. That's what
Agreed.
you want to decide. Young parents with young children always need to address that issue.
If you remember the Tara Grant case up in Macomb County where the husband killed the wife
Yes.
and hid the body, we represented that family, and she didn't have a will with guardians, and it was a nightmare. His sister and his mother were fighting for those kids when it was the worst situation ever.
You can run
So
State
important.
all sorts of problems there. We're going to come back from the break and I'll tell you about the other big problem comes up is mom and dad are older and need care. We'll be back.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Thav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, next situation where an estate plan is important. Mom and dad get to the point where they're not mobile or they can't take care of their affairs. When we talk about an estate plan, it's not just will or trust. The other two components, which are probably
The most
important, is a durable power of attorney and a healthcare power of attorney. The durable power of attorney gives a person the power to act for another person while they're living. It terminates upon death, and it's critical, and you need it the most. And here's the situation. When your mom and dad are frail and dementia's setting in, and you're taking over as the kid responsible to help them, or you're the spouse and you're helping your spouse in that situation, let me tell you, first of all, it's not a fun time in your life. It's not a fun time for them. It's even worse on the kids because they don't always know what's going on. You do. It's a lot of pressure. It's just a lot of stress. If you have a durable power of attorney, at least you're able to take care of their affairs. You can switch their bank accounts. You can pay their bills. You can call the cable TV company up and switch them back to basic cable when you figure out they don't know how to work the DVR.
Right.
You try calling the cable company up when you don't have a power of attorney and you want to reduce their level of service, they'll say, I'm sorry, we can't do that without a probate court order.
Right.
All right. So the whole thing is that durable power of attorney makes things easy. The healthcare power, mom and dad are at that frail age, they go into the hospital and realistically the quality of their life is gone and you would like to move them over to hospice at that point. The first thing the hospital is going to ask you is, do you have a medical health care power of attorney? Because if you don't, the hospital is in the precarious position of, do they have a burden and obligation to sustain life, or can they go the smooth hospice route? These are not fun decisions to make.
And one of the
but you
bigger
need those documents.
Yeah, and plus if you don't have it, all the kids come in and they all think they're in charge, and then they start fighting and fighting and fighting. You need to pick one person to be in charge.
I went through that situation. Both of my parents eventually went through hospice. My brother, who is an attorney, they gave him the medical power of attorney and the power of attorney, and it made things much smoother. He and we all of our brothers, we get along well, but we were glad there was somebody designated to take care of them.
Well, I'll give you a case where there was nobody designated. You remember a little case out of Florida?
Shivo.
The Shivo.
Terry
Shivo went to the Supreme Court twice over 10 years.
That was horrible because everyone's fighting to keep her on life support. Every person I ever asked does not want to be on life support.
I know.
No one wants to be in
We've been doing medical powers of attorney. I've been doing them for 30 years. You too? No one's ever said, and in that medical power, you can say, do not sustain life, or keep me alive as long as you possibly can.
There was one person.
I haven't had a client ask for that
There was
yet.
one person for me, and it was my dad. When he had his horrible stroke in the nursing home, he wanted to be on everything. He wanted to live. He wanted antifreeze put in if it would
That's
work.
because he was so young when that happened to him.
Well, yeah, but he died at 82, and he wanted to be on that last.
So he
wanted
occurred at what age?
61.
Right.
That's a run.
I lived it for
Wow.
21. My father-in-law had Alzheimer's at 54.
But if that's what I want,
You
but
can
I
do
don't
it.
give power of attorney or medical power of attorney to my kids, then what happens?
Well, you got to go to probate court. If you want to withdraw life support, you have to go. Well, any decisions that need to be made, you have to go to probate court and get a guardian to make those decisions. And typically, the presumption is that you want to be alive, which most people don't. You have to go and ask.
I don't.
No one does.
Once
No.
That's why to be safe, you need to have that medical.
You know how important that medical power of attorney is? Think about this, changing it around. We're all talking about people who are old and being able to make decisions for your parents. How about your kids?
Right.
Your kid is 18 and one day. Can you make a decision for your kid?
Not anymore.
He's an adult.
Right.
And suppose he's away at college.
That's right. So if you don't have a medical power of attorney for your kid, you're not making the decisions. Oh, the hospital will take your opinion, and then they will do what's best in the best interest of the hospital.
So wait, initially the parent will have medical power of attorney for the kid, and then that same kid may one day have medical power of attorney for the parent.
It's called the
Oftentimes.
sandwich generation.
Wow.
You're taking care of both sides.
You also, your kid's away at college, and there's financial decisions that you need to make for them sometimes. You should have a durable power of attorney for your kid who's in college, so that you can handle. Most of us as parents are handling our kids' finances when they're 18 and 19 in college. But if the kid's in college out of state, or he's up in Ann Arbor, he's in East Lansing, and you need to take care of something at the bank, if you have a durable power of attorney in place, you can do it. If you don't, you've got to send paperwork up to Lansing. You've got to wait till he comes home on the weekend, but on the weekend the banks are closed. You need to have, those are things that just are easy to take care of and get done that people never get around to doing.
It's funny because it took me 4 months to sign my own estate plan, but my daughter turned 18 and I had a durable power of attorney, a medical power of attorney signed that day. So
that's pretty good, actually.
Does your power supersede hers, or are they equal as long as she's alive?
They're actually equal from the standpoint. I mean, she can make her own decisions as long as she's competent to do so, but if she's not, I'm going to make her decisions for her. But that being said, there is some worry about that. People don't always want their kids to be able to make that decision when they have the ability to. So there is a mechanism within the power of attorney.
It's called a springing power. And it springs and comes to life when the person is unable to act on their own in the opinion of
they're incapacitated.
2 doctors or 1 doctor, whatever you say. That was the big lawsuit. It was a trustee issue in the lawsuit with the basketball team with the LA Clippers. What was the guy's name?
Well, they were fighting over who should be in charge.
When Steve Ballmer was trying to buy the LA Clippers, the wife of, I forget his name, had power of attorney, and she sold it because she got 2 doctors to say that her husband was incompetent.
And the court upheld it. He then challenged it in court, and the court upheld it. It's an interesting thing that happens. All right, we're coming up to a break. Here's the next question. What if I don't have a will or a trust? What does happen to my estate? You need to know that before you decide, I don't need a will. I'm not going to die. I don't care about this stuff.
Right.
We'll be back.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you're approaching retirement and don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your investments, and your savings. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Putting a solid strategy in place with Samasco Law legally protects your assets as well as your wishes. Since a will doesn't cover you medically or financially, Samasco Law goes beyond ordinary asset management protection to safeguard everything you have.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Thav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time to do announcements. All right, I want to remind our viewers to listen to us Tuesdays noon to 1, 6 to 7 p.m. Law and Reality Live on WCHB 1200 AM 99.9 FM. And on Thursdays 3 to 4, Law and Reality Now with Cliff Russell on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, and that's also streaming on their website. We got seminars coming up. First seminar coming up is It's Fall, Time for the Debt to Fall. It's Wednesday, September 28th, 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. at our offices in Bingham Farms. We're going to go through all the issues that we talk about on the show about how to preserve future income for you and your family. It's more about saving money in the future. The mechanism is getting rid of the debt, but the concentration is on going forward so that you have money in your pocket to retire with. You're not sitting there at retirement age broke. Another seminar coming up is an estate planning seminar, and it's called It's Too Late to Protect Your Children When You're Dead. You need an estate plan. I thought we'd come up with a little bit more blunt kind of a topic for the next seminar. It's Wednesday, October 19th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. By the way, if you attend the debt seminar, It's Time to Fall, you get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. If you attend the Wednesday, October 19th seminar, we're going to go through all of the elements of an estate plan, why people need one, and we're going to cover the problem of the fact that people procrastinate when it comes to doing an estate plan. And the way we're going to cover that is, if you attend that seminar, we're going to offer a phenomenal discount package deal for an estate plan, but you have to attend the seminar in order to get that package and that availability. So remember, that's October 19th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Seating is limited. You sign up at both seminars at thavgross.com or lawandreality.com, or you can always call our offices at 888-235-HELP. Go to our websites, thavgross.com, lawandreality.com. We've got free reports. We've got Pat Simasko's report on Social Security. We have a report on forming a business and 14 available sources for funding a new business besides commercial banks. And we have Reg X, how to save your home using Reg X, the hidden secrets in order to prevent and stop foreclosure. I want to thank our sponsors, Thav Gross, Simasko Law. Now let's take a break and then we'll be back.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Simasko Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Simasko Law today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, so when we left for the break, I said, what happens if you don't have a will or a trust? In that case, your assets pass to your devisees by the laws of intestate succession. You don't get to say, well, what Bill wanted to happen. It's what the law says. If you have children and no spouse, your kids get everything. If you have a spouse and no kids, your spouse gets everything. But if you have a spouse and kids, your spouse gets the first $150,000 of your estate plus half of the balance. Your kids get the rest. So, and there's other circumstances. We'll pop a chart on the wall. You can see where it goes. But the big point here is it's out of your decision making, and that's not what should happen with what's left of your assets when you pass away.
Just let me jump in. The absolute worst thing ever that can happen if you die without a will, the law says your kids get it at age 18. And at age 18,
they're not responsible.
No, they'll kill themselves. Money is the worst thing that you could leave.
I call it Corvette syndrome.
Oh, drugs, alcohol,
At 18, they're going to go out and buy themselves a Corvette.
You're absolutely right.
And treat all their friends.
And maybe a condo if there's
and buy
enough
the
money.
girlfriend a Corvette.
And by 19, the money's gone.
No, they'll buy the Corvette and then they buy a bar, which is the worst business to try. And then they don't pay their payroll taxes, and then they have a bigger disaster.
But then they become a client.
The other thing is this.
For the funeral home.
There you go. You have to go through probate. And the thing about probate is it's a cost and an expense that you don't need. You avoid probate by having a trust and having the assets in the trust. Now here's the next question. What doesn't transfer through probate? The answer is if your assets transfer by operation of law, then it doesn't matter about the law of intestate succession and it doesn't matter about probate. But these are the laws of what transfers by operation of law. If you have real estate, husband and wife owned as tenancy by the entirety, husband dies, wife instantly owns it. The reverse is also true. If you have real estate owned tenants with rights of survivorship, that's where you're not married husband and wife, the survivor automatically owns it. But here's the problem with that. If Cliff and I own a piece of property with rights of survivorship, we don't really want the owner of the property to be the one who wins the race and lives the longest.
Right.
We want each of our halves to go to our different families. So that usually doesn't work very well. Life insurance proceeds, the beneficiary gets the money outright. If you have a beneficiary designation on your bank account, it goes that way. If you have bank accounts in joint names, the one who survives ends up owning the money. So people sometimes say, well, can't I cover everything that way and just have jointly titled assets? Then I don't need the will. I don't need the trust. But that creates a big problem that you see all the time.
If you jointly title assets with your children so that you pass them outside of an estate plan, inevitably what's going to happen is you're going to find child number 3 happens to owe $50,000 in credit card debt, happens to be in $25,000 worth of hospital bills, and their creditors are chomping at the bit. And the minute you die, your money and your estate goes to child number 3. And guess who gets child number 3's money at that point? Because it went from you to child number 3, and it goes to Visa. And that's not what you want.
The one thing that we see.
Or your son files a bankruptcy, and all of a sudden the trustee's making a claim for half of your interest in your real estate.
And beneficiary IRAs are no longer protected in bankruptcy court. So any IRA that they get, which is their typical largest part of the estate, is not protected.
Another big problem. Son gets divorced while you're, and all of a sudden son's saying, I own half. Son's attorney is now saying, the other spouse's attorney is saying, we own half interest in mom and dad's house. The solution? You don't jointly title assets. You do an estate plan to solve that problem. Old school used to say that worked, but they didn't think about the creditor problems that came up and the divorce problems that come up. You don't want to jointly title assets. You want to do an estate plan. Estate plans are not costly like people think. And the bottom line is it's a reasonable cost, far less than probate. It makes sure that your assets go where you want them to go. You come to Thav Gross, estate plans are reasonably priced. If you need terms to pay them over time, we give you terms to pay them over time. The bottom line is it is wrong that 50% of Americans don't have an estate plan. The baby boomers are the ones that need it the most, and they need to get off their stick and get it done. And that's why the name of this show started out with, if not now, when? Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here. Pleasure.